Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Making Things I Didn't Want to Buy. On today's docket is this pair of Yeehaw beaded cowboy earrings that I saw at Winners. I think it was $17, which I know that technically it's not that expensive, but I just personally didn't want to spend the money on it. And so that's why I'm going to make my own today. Now, the spirit of this challenge, of course, is spending as little money as possible. Of course, it helps if you just naturally already have a bunch of stuff. Incidentally, I've also never beaded before, so hi, my name is Emily and I am an amateur beading artist. So aside from seed beads, it looks like we'll also need some rhinestones and of course some felt for the base. Alright, let's go look for them. So I found this sheet of rhinestone thingy, some rhinestone chains. This one's pink. I also came across these tiny eyelets that I got at the thrift store that I feel like could be helpful for the part that attaches to the earring. And of course I've got my giant sack of felt. Alright, so we got pink and we got black. I'm gonna make both because I feel like that would be less repetitive work. Mika baby, come here! Mika! Mika! What's the matter? So the thing about a lot of this felt is that some of them are really good quality and some of them are really flimsy. So for example, this green one, very fluffy and soft, whereas something like this other green one is pretty stiff. So this type is good. Now I just gotta figure out which one is which. So this one is a soft one. This little chunk. This one is the nice and sturdy one. So I'll take that. As for pink, we have this sack, which I'm pretty sure is a soft kind. Yep. I don't have any other pink ones, but I do have this lilac lavender color. Yes, this is the sturdy one. All right, so I guess instead of pink, we're doing purple. Although I guess I should check first if I even have any purple seed beads. Black and pearly, we've got plenty. We've got these big purple ones, but I think they're too big. Don't see any purple either. Ooh, okay, so I've got some of these long seed beads, and some of them do have a purpley indigo blue sheen. Okay, so now that we have some semblance of a plan worked out, let's just get started on the black version. You know, I just cleaned my room, so that means I brought all the sewing equipment downstairs, and now I need them again.
And that's precisely why we as a society should abolish the concept of cleaning your room. Just kidding, I definitely needed to vacuum up all the accumulated hair, cat and human alike. Anyway, here I am using a chalk pencil to sketch out the jean jacket shape. So first things first, I'm gonna embroider the outline. They use kind of longer seed beads for theirs, but I'm going to use whatever pearly ones I can find in this miscellaneous one we just opened.
So I sewed 4 beads. I mean, I don't actually know anything about beading, so I could be doing this all wrong. The little seed beads. I'm just gonna keep going, and if anything goes horribly wrong, I'll be sure to let you know. Tricky thing I'm discovering right now is that if I keep touching the fabric, then the chalk mark is gonna disappear. So I do have to be very careful about where I'm placing my hands.
Speaking of horribly wrong, any pro beaders watching this would immediately know I'm doing this incorrectly, or at least inefficiently, as I'm stringing the beads on individually. Will I eventually give in and finally search up a tutorial? Keep watching to find out.
5-minute check-in. I'm going up the other side of the sleeve now. I still need to work on sewing in a straight line, but otherwise, this is not taking as long as I thought it would. Knock on wood. So here's the outline all done. I don't think I got better at sewing in a straight line, but I think I got the spacing between beads much better, and I got way better at doing corners. Oh, I just realized they do outline the bottom part of the jacket as well. Also, obviously I could look up tutorials for how to sew straight lines with beads, but sometimes I just want to experience this for myself first. Alright, now all of the outline is done. I think I could have made the arms, the sleeves I mean, stick out more from the jacket. That's something I'll keep in mind for the next jacket. And then I'm going to sew on some of this rhinestone sheet. I'm gonna trim off the sides probably. Like a little chevron shape. The thing I'm wondering is if I should try doing the letters in beading as well, or just go ahead and embroider it.
Also, I dropped some seed beads earlier and wish me luck in finding them.
I'm also wondering, for filling in the rest of this empty space, if I should use my abundance of black seed beads or if I should use the long seed beads. I imagine that would be much faster. Well, I'm gonna go eat lunch first and decide later. I've returned and I've decided to use the long seed beads. That was so unsatisfying.
Now, an interesting topic did come up in the previous buy versus DIY video, wondering if it's still worth making the thing yourself if you're going to be spending so much time making it, and time is, in fact, money. And of course, if I were making these crafts with the intent of selling them, I would be keeping careful track of the time to make sure I'd be well compensated for the labor. But the fact of the matter is, it's just fun. I know that logistically the time I spend on these little crafts probably costs more than just buying the thing to begin with, but just buying it wouldn't be fun. I have the supplies at home, and it makes my brain very happy when I can figure out how to MacGyver my own tchotchkes.
I've recently acquired this very fancy thread, and I'm gonna use this for the lettering. Oh man, this thread is very different to work with. It's done. I'm gonna be real, sewing with this rainbow metallic thread was not fun. It's almost like really thin tinsel twisted together to form a thread, and it's very snaggy, feels almost like it has scales. I probably will not move on with that thread. But yeah, this is the final result. As a first pass, I think it's fine, but I think I can do better. So I did finally give in and search up a tutorial, and I think I was doing a very similar thing, but just slightly different in that after this point, I was loading up the beads multiple at a time so that I get a straighter line. But the way I was tacking it down was through the beads again instead of just over the thread. So that's probably contributing to why it looks so wonky and wobbly. But for the second jacket, I think I can finally utilize the correct technique. This is so good practice nonetheless. I think it's good to learn from your failures at first. So in the reference, they use a silvery, very reflective bead for the outlines. I'm seeing if I can use these long gold seed beads and then fill up the inside with these bluish ones and maybe even these dark purple ones. Either way, I'm just gonna grab a bunch of these and then bring it to my work table.
This time, instead of sketching directly onto the felt, I decided to be smart and make a template out of paper first. Trying to get the arms to stick out more. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, now we're going to... Is my mic even on?
Anyway, as I was saying, let's chase this onto the fabric. This project better feel super honored that I'm opening a new spool of thread for it. Seems like a pretty good match. Okay, let's start beading. I should have drawn the stencil a little farther from the edge up here. I think it should be okay, hopefully. So first you load up a bunch of beads. 1, 2, where'd it go? Oh, 3. Slide that to the bottom, and then we stitch it down right here. Ta-da! So I got beads on there, and now it's time to tack down all the loose strings.
Look how sparkly it is. Reminds me of rainbow fish. And if you're curious what the back looks like, ta-da! Okay, now let's sew on the pinkish rhinestone strands. Okay, I think I'm gonna do 4 rhinestones. And how many strands would I need? Let's say 5 strands. The problem now is I gotta figure out how to separate them. I don't think scissors would work, but let me give it a try. Nope, definitely not. Okay, I'm gonna go get some pliers, which I also put away this morning when I cleaned the room. There we go. Before I attach the rhinestones to the jacket though, I decided it would be easier to embroider the words first. Originally, I did try to sew on the rhinestones, but it felt a little too flimsy, so I whipped out my E6000. I'm going to let this dry, and in the meantime, why don't we make another one? And this time we're going to use these dark blue beads. Unfortunately, those blue beads strangely did not want to go past the needle, so I had to go hunting for thinner needles. I found a bunch of other needles. I hope one of these will be thin enough to fit through the seed beads. I've had this rhinestone chain in my possession probably for 10 years now. I used to actually wear this bracelet when it had an elastic in it. And this is a message on why you should never throw things away, because one day you might need them for some mystery arts and crafts. I was being very uneloquent in this clip, so let me summarize. I was feeling quite unimpressed with the thread embroidered words, especially in comparison with the iridescent beads and the sparkly rhinestones, so I was wondering if I should embroider the words with the teeny tiny pearly seed beads instead. And so I gave it a try. Thanks. I kinda don't like it. However, I will say if I ever get a cowboy jacket, this is what it would look like. E for Emily. I think there's nothing wrong with simplicity. I think once I trim off all the excess around here, it won't look super out of place. Okay, time to undo all of my work. The lettering is not perfect, but I think it's very cute. Now we gotta figure out how to cut this out and prevent all the thread from falling out. So the reference has these hats on top where the stud is, and I don't think I'm going to do that just because I actually don't like the feeling of a giant stud earring. It can brush up against my cheek and I don't like the feeling of that. So I think I'm not gonna do a hat, but I could do just like a tiny little circle, just enough to cover the stud and to hang on to the jacket. This is the earring post I have, and I just made a little hexagon out of beads. This will be on the other side, obviously, but ta-da!
So I was thinking about how I'm going to finish off the back of these little jackets, and I think I have something figured out. I'm gonna take some of this heat and bond, apply a layer on the back of this, attach it to another piece of felt so that all these threads get encapsulated in between them. The only thing I'm worried about is whether the beads would potentially melt. Luckily for me, I just happen to have this subpar jacket that I can test it on. To the ironing board. And now the difficult part, I've got a finger sleeve. Bink.
If you care deeply about iron safety, I beseech you, look away now, for I am turning the iron upside down and placing the little felt sandwich on top like a little grilled cheese.
And I don't think any of the beads melted, so that's good.
And then came the very nerve-wracking but satisfying task of trimming the felt.
One last trim along the bottom here, if I can reach it. Yay! Ta-da! And then we're done!
Look at this cross-section. Ooh, looks edible. So crisp, so fine. On this one, the glue did not fully adhere, so I think I'm going to just drop a bit of craft glue in there and squeeze it shut.
The thing about craft glue is, I know you're not supposed to breathe it in. If they didn't want us to smell it, why does it smell so good? I think this one is non-toxic, so thank goodness. So I did end up fixing quite a few of those problem areas. Maybe heat and bond wasn't the best way to glue these together. Or maybe my technique just isn't good. I don't know.
But anyway, I did not end up using the eyelets because as teeny tiny as they were still a bit too big for the earrings. So there was only one thing I could do, sticking the jump rings right into the felt. so cute.
The only thing left to do is to attach the earring post, and then we're ready for the final reveal.